Ladies and gentlemen, are we live? Oh yeah, it finally happened. Finally, Dave Filoni finally getting the recognition that he deserves. Ooh, this is going to be a fun show. This is going to be a really fun show. It's a good day to be a Star Wars fan today, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, guys? It's Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars, and yes, it is the week of the thanks of giving, and we are giving thanks to whoever did it. Maybe it's Kathleen Kennedy. Maybe it's Bob Iger. Maybe it's somebody who's so evil and so bad, but they gave us such a gift around this holiday. We have to give thanks, ladies and gentlemen, to somebody, because they gave the job of Chief Creative Officer to Dave Filoni. This is a good day. This is a great day to be a Star Wars fan, and I'm really excited to talk all about this with you guys today, because this is breaking news as of a few hours ago that Dave Filoni is now the CCO, or Chief Creative Officer, of Lucasfilm. Oh, yes. This is a great day. This is a really great day. I literally had a whole different stream set up. We're going to talk about Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy and how this new comic revealed some stuff, and we'll still maybe get to that towards the end of this stream, but this is awesome. This is awesome. Huge shout out to, I think, Andrew, who brought it up in the Discord. This is amazing. So we're going to dive into this. There's a huge Variety, I believe it is, who wrote the article. Variety wrote this huge article. Pretty much everybody's covering this because it's enormous news, but we're going to talk about all of it. What's up, Caleb? How we doing? Let me open up the chat, and let's start up a poll right away. Oh, why did it open up over there? Open up over here. Thank you very much. Let's do it. Oh. The poll is wait, are you happy with Dave's promotion? Yes or no? You tell me. Are you happy with Dave Filoni's promotion? Let's see it. Obviously, mine is yes. I'm working on a full-on video that will probably come out either tonight or tomorrow. I'm not too sure. Probably tomorrow at 12 p.m. We'll keep the release schedule on track, you know? So probably tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm dropping the video all about Dave Filoni getting this job, what we know. We're going to talk about a lot of it today anyway, so it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see what Dave's got in store for us. But what does this job mean? What does CCO, or Chief Creative Officer, mean? Let's dive into what that means. Let's read this article coming from Vanity Fair. It's coming from Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair. It's a big article talking all about this, and it is incredible. So let's dive right into it. Let's do it. Hang on. Let me pull it up. There we go. All right. We're going to have to zoom in on this, but that's a great picture of Rosario and Hayden on the set. Okay, perfect. Star Wars undertakes universe-shaking changes after Ahsoka. So Ahsoka was obviously this massive hit. It was an incredible show. Anybody who thinks otherwise clearly just doesn't have a brain between their ears. It's an incredible show. And because of that show, because of how good it was, Lucasfilm said, okay, we're not only just going to give Dave Filoni his own movie, but we're also going to give him this huge promotion to Chief Creative Officer, where he gets to oversee everything that happens. But we're going to dive into what that really means, okay? Here we go. Dave Filoni, should I zoom in some more? Let's zoom in a little bit more. That's better, and then we'll just drag it over like that. Perfect. Okay. Maybe one more. Oh. All right, that's good. Dave Filoni has a new mission in the Star Wars universe after guiding Rosario Dawson's force-wielding hero to distant celestial realms in the first season of Ahsoka. The writer, producer, director, who started out working alongside George Lucas, he is the apprentice to George Lucas, on the animated Clone Wars show nearly 2 decades ago. Not nearly 2 decades ago. That show started in what? 2008? Something like that, maybe. I don't know. Has ascended to a new position at Lucasfilm, one that will give him input into all the galactic stories going forward. Not just some, all the galactic stories moving forward, meaning Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, Mando Season 4, Ahsoka Season 2, Bad Batch Season 3, every movie that comes out, every game that comes out, every book that comes out, every comic book that comes out, he has sort of an overarching scope on all of it. He's connecting all of it. He's very similar to Kevin Feige, but I'll make that comparison a little bit later. So, this is Dave Filoni himself in this interview with Vanity Fair. Now I am called Chief Creative Officer of Lucasfilm. He names himself. Filoni tells Vanity Fair, which places him into the development process much earlier and in much more expansive capacity than his previous advisor duties. In the past, in a lot of projects, I would be brought into it. I would see it after it has already been developed a good ways. So Dave Filoni would be brought into these projects way further down the line than usual. He would just be brought on to sort of help fix things or just to help out as a producer. Now he's going to be in from the ground floor. He's going to be in from the beginning. Filoni will now work more directly with Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy. We'll talk about Kathleen in a little bit here, what her role now becomes and other stuff like that. And alongside Carrie Beck, a veteran producer turned head of development to originate and shepherd the next generation of Star Wars shows and movies. After spending years involved in the creation of Star Wars animation, including the Rebels series, he became interestingly involved in the live action as a producer with Jon Favreau on The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. This is Dave Filoni speaking again. He says, in this new role, it's opened up to basically everything that's going on, Filoni says. When we're planning the future of what we are doing right now, I'm involved in the inception phase. Now, what does that mean? The inception phase is when the idea for the project is being created. That's where he's at. He's not coming into the development of a show. He is developing the show or movie or anything. He's not specifically developing it, but if some creator like a Jon Favreau, for example, comes to him with an idea, then he's the one who gets it off the floor. Are you with me so far? Do we get it, chat? Do we understand? Dave Filoni's job is to take the ideas that are brought to him and turn them into something great. That's pretty much it. Let's keep going. The news comes a little over a month after the conclusion of Ahsoka, an 8-episode Disney Plus series that explored how Rosario Dawson's Jedi grappled with her legacy of being trained by Anakin Skywalker, the mentor who became the galactic tyrant Darth Vader. Due to the long-running Hollywood strikes, neither Filoni nor Rosario Dawson were able to speak about the show when it debuted. In the Vanity Fair exclusive, both of them are now free to discuss the changes the show brought to the broader Star Wars narrative. Both on-screen and behind the scenes, because Ahsoka is a big-scoped show. You have characters like Anakin Skywalker, who's the main character of Star Wars, people may argue, but he is the main character of Star Wars. He's in the show. It also is vastly important to the greater galaxy and also a new galaxy that it introduces into the Star Wars world as well. But it's, of course, Thrawn coming in as heir to the Empire, which is extremely important moving forward. Hayden Christensen, the GOAT himself, who returned to play the spirit of Anakin Skywalker in Ahsoka, also spoke about reprising his role from the prequel films and what the series says about Darth Vader's how Darth Vader reckons with his own troubled history in the galactic afterlife. And Natasha Liu Bordizzo, who played Sabine Wren, the Mandalorian troublemaker, who became Ahsoka's own Jedi trainee, addressed how the ways Ahsoka opens up this world to a new generation of fans by simultaneously embracing traditions and trying to forge new storylines. So this is what Ahsoka did that a lot of fans don't give it credit for. It brought in a whole vast new cast of characters with Baylan and Shin and all these other people. Night Sisters, of course, but they were new Night Sisters, I guess. But it also introduced a new galaxy. It introduced Peridia, all this cool stuff that expands the lore, expands the universe, all that stuff. but it also took what people love from characters from Rebels, from Anakin, from Ahsoka, who's from the Clone Wars, and expanded on that stuff. It even gave us nods to Leia and Luke and showed us C-3PO, went to Coruscant. It took the universe that already existed, expanded it, but also took what was there before and made it better. That's what the sequel trilogy kind of forgot to do. They expanded the universe with new characters and new places and all this stuff, but they didn't really take what came before and value that as something important. And that's what Ahsoka did. Ahsoka really did that very well. So this is what Natasha Liu Bordizzo said. You just learned a lot from Dave in general, I think. I know that he's traditionally in the sense of how he learned so much from George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. He has these pillars of storytelling that are dear to him, and then everything else can be untraditional. So he learned from the creator of Star Wars himself, George Lucas. And that was kind of what made fans fall in love with Dave very early on. He worked right alongside of George for about 6-ish years on the Clone Wars, for 6 seasons, I should say, on the Clone Wars, and he's the apprentice. And since then, he's been making incredible Star Wars content that fans have been loving, and now he's got a bigger role, and that's what's good. This is just a Vanity Fair shoot that they did like a few years ago with Pedro and Cassian Andor, Diego Luna, and Rosario, of course, and Ewan McGregor. So, Filoni's new role. Now that Filoni will take on the role of Chief Creative Officer, what does that mean for other writers, directors, and producers? So what does this role actually mean? What's up, Ian? How we doing? I just noticed you're in the chat. I'm not telling other people what to do, Filoni says. This is interesting. But I do feel I'm trying to help them tell the best story that they want to tell. I need to be a help across the galaxy here, like a part of the Jedi Council almost. So he's going to be involved as a part of the Jedi Council, as a part of each project, but he's going to be helping the broader sort of story of Star Wars. He's not going to be directing things, if that makes sense. I think the Dave Filoni movie, he's still going to write that movie. I think he's probably going to give it to Jon Favreau to direct, but I think he's going to kind of be doing a lot of that stuff. He's going to be producing on a lot of shows. He's going to be giving advice or story points or whatever it is on certain aspects of certain different projects, but he's not going to be the guy writing, directing, and producing a show. I think Ahsoka was the last time we'll really see Dave Filoni do that, which is kind of a bummer, but it's also cool because now he gets to be in charge of more stuff and actually contribute to more projects and make other projects better. I think what happened with Kenobi, I think what happened with Book of Boba Fett, I think what happened with a lot of these other projects, how they're not interconnected, how they kind of feel just very different from each other, I think that wouldn't have happened. I think Kenobi would have been a lot better if Dave already had this position. He describes his responsibility as understanding the intent of the filmmaker and being a resource to them, based on his mentorship under George Lucas himself and his years spent steering the Clone Wars, Rebels, and Ahsoka, and Mando, and Tales of the Jedi. Literally hours of Star Wars storytelling I have done, he said, before pausing and rethinking his syntax. And he says, see, I even phrased that like Yoda. Literally hours of Star Wars telling I have done, is what he said. At a Star Wars Celebration fan convention this past spring, a number of new projects were announced by Kathleen Kennedy, including a feature film from Filoni that would help bridge the decades-long gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, a space that The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka are already busy filling, and Skeleton Crew will also help fill that as well. You know? Filoni will continue developing his film, as well as exploring a possible second season of Ahsoka, while serving as this new position. To truly help filmmakers, it was really important for me to experience that firsthand. So in order for him to help directors and writers write movies, he's got to do that first himself. And that's why he's going to write, and maybe, I'm not convinced that he's going to direct this movie, but that's why he's going to do that himself with this Mandoverse movie. I can also lead a perspective on the challenges of telling these stories will present. I feel more capable of actually being helpful outside of just saying, well, Jedi are like this and Sith are like this. He actually has something to sort of input when it comes to creating Star Wars content because he's done so much of it. 7 seasons of Clone Wars, 3 seasons of Mando, 4 seasons of Rebels, 2 seasons of Tales, 3 seasons of Bad Batch, 1 season of Ahsoka. It's a lot of content that Dave Filoni has given us, and he's worked on Star Wars for decades, that he can actually help other creatives become as good as he is. Look at George Lucas. When George Lucas was doing the original trilogy, he didn't direct the Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. He didn't. He wanted to be more involved as a producer and as a writer, but he didn't want to direct because he thought there was people more talented than him that could do that with his advice, with his, of course, mentorship in the Star Wars realm. But there's better directors and writers than Dave Filoni, but Dave Filoni's the guy who knows Star Wars. He's sort of like a fountain of knowledge, so to say. All these titles from Star Wars Celebration are still on the books, Lucasfilm officials say, including the historic epic about the origins of the Force from Indiana Jones' Dial of Destiny filmmaker James Mangold. And the story revisiting Daisy Ridley's Rey from director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, including TV projects with The Acolyte, set in the High Republic era about a century before the Star Wars story was encountered in 1977, and Skeleton Crew, a show about a lost group of young space travelers set sometime after the Empire is defeated in Return of the Jedi. As president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy will continue leading the overall company, and Beck's role will include recruiting other storytellers into the Star Wars fold, while Filoni weighs in on a narrative level. So we're going to read the rest of this article in a second here, but I want to see what you guys are talking about because I can't see the chat while I'm looking at that. So, how are we doing, chat? What's up? What do we think about that so far? And how do we like my turkey over here? Let's happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. I hope you have a very nice Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of food for me. Eat a lot of food for me because I'm going to be eating a lot of food for you. But what do we think of this Dave Filoni news? What do we think of this Dave Filoni news? So how it's supposed to be is how it's going to be. Kathleen Kennedy was doing too many jobs at the same time. She was trying to do this job that Dave Filoni was just given, which is Chief Creative Officer. She was trying to do that job while also being the CEO of Lucasfilm. She was trying to interfere with productions or start all these productions. That is now Dave Filoni's job, and Kathleen Kennedy doesn't have to do that. She doesn't even have to be involved at all. She could be CEO, which is the business side of things. She doesn't have to be involved at all in the production of a movie or a show. This is the best case scenario if they really can't fire this lady. If Kathleen Kennedy really can't go, this is the best case scenario. Dave Filoni becomes in charge of all creative content. And Kathleen Kennedy can do what she supposedly does best and stay on the business side. What do we think? Because that last paragraph was very important. As president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy will continue to lead the overall company. That's what she does. As a business producer, she does that. She leads over the entire company. Carrie Beck's role, what was her title? I forget. Let's go back. Carrie Beck, who is... what's the specific name? Carrie Beck, a veteran producer, head of development is her name. Head of development. That's her name. So her job is to recruit storytellers. So she's the one who goes and gets good writers, good directors to come do Star Wars. She's the one who got, or I guess Jon Favreau came to them, but she's the one who okayed Jon Favreau to do this stuff. She's the one who recruits all the different creatives to do these things. Tony Gilroy's, I don't even know, other writers and other directors who I would say Rian Johnson, but he came to them first. So she's the one who goes out and gets the creators. Those creators come to Dave Filoni with their ideas, and Dave Filoni is the one who gets these ideas off the ground, and he's the one who's involved in every single thing that's going on from the ground up, from the ground up. He's no longer coming in to save their skins. He's no longer coming in to fix these problems. He's no longer coming in to put Easter eggs into Andor or whatever it may be. That's not his job anymore. His job is now to start projects from the ground up and keep the creatives on track while also keeping a cohesive story, connective universe, and making the best Star Wars that it can be. Woo! I'm loving it. That's incredible. This is the greatest news I could have asked for on a nice Tuesday morning of Thanksgiving week, and I could not be more thankful for this news. It honestly feels very nice to be a Star Wars fan right now because it seems like the fandom is taking this in a good way. There's obviously your Dave Filoni haters. There's some people who don't like his writing too much, and that's okay. That's okay. 100% it's okay. You don't have to be in love with his writing. It doesn't matter. But now he's not really writing any projects anyway. He's just going to be involved as a producer or a higher-up creative consultant type person. And this has kind of been the case for a while now with Dave Filoni's projects. Even the Clone Wars, he is, of course, the guy who created Clone Wars Season 7. He wrote the story, but he's not directing the individual episodes. He's not writing the individual episodes. He's not doing that stuff. Look at the Bad Batch. Bad Batch Season 2, Dave Filoni didn't direct any of the episodes. He wrote the story, but he didn't direct any of the episodes. And I'm sure the same will be with Bad Batch Season 3. Dave Filoni's been doing this for a long time. And he's just getting good at it. Oh, he's just getting good at it. Tony says, oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. It really is. And it's good for the Star Wars fandom because I'm looking at Twitter right now. Dave Filoni's trending. Star Wars is trending. Lucasfilm is trending. All on the X, formerly known as Twitter, right now. That's huge. Star Wars hasn't been trending since Ahsoka ended. It hasn't. And this is enormous news, and Star Wars fans know that. Usually a guy who's been in a company for a while getting a promotion is not that big a deal, but Star Wars fans realize what this means. We realize how big this truly is because Kathleen Kennedy may not be out the door, but this is a huge win for Star Wars. This is a huge win for Dave Filoni, and it also keeps Kathleen Kennedy away from all these projects. It keeps her from interfering and destroying all these things. Huge news. But what do we think, Chad? How we doing? Ian says, Acolyte is KK's baby. He ain't touching that. Not really. KK's not involved that drastically in the production of that sort of stuff, and she's not like... I think I get what you're saying as she hired all those people to work on Acolyte, but now Dave's in charge. Now, so maybe those projects, Skeleton Crew, Acolyte, the stuff that comes out next year, Andor Season 2, he's probably not as involved in, but I'm sure he had some type of say in what went down. He talked about in interviews literally over 2 years ago about how he had all these vast whiteboards in his office, connecting every single Star Wars project. I think Dave Filoni's had this role as Chief Creative Officer for at least a year now. Because there was rumors about it about a year ago, and I think that's when it happened. And I think it's only now that it's been confirmed by him and Lucasfilm themselves. So I think Dave has been sort of doing this for a little bit now. I think Andor, when you had the ricotta mention and all the Easter eggs in like Luthen's gallery and stuff like that, that's Dave Filoni. Tony Gilroy doesn't know Star Wars. He doesn't. He's a good writer. 100%. He's a great writer. Doesn't know Star Wars at all. And that's where Dave Filoni comes in, because he knows Star Wars. You know? OgMC, what's up, says, I think Filoni will be like James Gunn and be able to do the job while also being able to direct and write shows/movies. Like Gunn is running the DC, but also directing and writing the upcoming Superman movie. Yes and no. I actually think if Dave Filoni does direct his own movie, which is the Mandoverse movie, and writes that movie as well, I think that will be the only one. And maybe that's the same thing that James Gunn is doing as well. I think James Gunn is writing and directing the Superman movie, but that might be the only one because he wants to start the franchise out on a good path, but then he's just going to kind of be the CEO like he's supposed to be for the rest of the time. So I think maybe that's the same thing that Dave Filoni's doing. He wants to start it out on a good path with his Mandoverse movie, and then he's going to do the job that, like he said in the article, he has to learn how to direct firsthand an actual Star Wars movie, live action Star Wars movie, I should say. because he did the Clone Wars movie. But he has to learn how to direct a live-action Star Wars movie, learn what that experience is like firsthand so that he can actually help other creatives do that as well. Tony says, I just woke up. You're waking up at 3 in the afternoon, Tony? That's pretty awesome. Fearless is up, Fearless. Who had this position of CEO before Dave Filoni? That's a good question. I don't think there was one. At least to my own knowledge, I don't think there was one. And I think Kathleen Kennedy was just doing it. I think she was doing both jobs, and I think that's where we went wrong. Kathleen Kennedy was involved too much in the creative side when she shouldn't have been. You know? This is interesting news. I can't believe it. Well, believe it, Fearless. The future of Star Wars is looking a bit brighter now. It really is. It really, really is. Friggins, what's up, Friggins? Jip says, that's so good. Oh, yeah, it is. Happy Thanksgiving, Mike. Oh, thanks, Fearless. Happy Thanksgiving right back to you. Movies and Beyond. What's up, Movies and Beyond says, with this new position, will Kathleen Kennedy be able to override his decisions? Well, yeah, but I don't think she will. The reason that Dave is getting this job is because of his track record, because of what he did, and because of what he's become. At first, Dave was only a writer for the Clone Wars. That's it. Then he became sort of this producer, writer, then producer, writer, director. Then he came to live action in The Mandalorian and became a writer for live action, then a director for live action, and now he's a director, writer, producer for live action and animation for The Bad Batch, for Rebels, for Mando, for Tales, for Ahsoka. He's done it all now. He's built it up. At first he was just a writer, and now he's a writer, director, producer, everything for animation, live action, you name it, he can do it. And that's sort of what they were doing. They were growing Dave Filoni over the last 11 years. And it was smart. It was a really smart plan. Because if you put Dave Filoni in charge back in 2012, he doesn't know any of this. He doesn't know how to produce. He doesn't know how to direct. He doesn't know anything about live action content. It would have been a disaster. But now he's learned. He's gone through 11 years of this awesome, cool development stuff. Being able to direct live action, animation, produce live action, animation. You name it, he can do it. And that's why he's got this job now. And honestly, to your point of can Kathleen Kennedy override him, I think she kind of gave him the role because she doesn't want to override him. She doesn't want that on her back anymore because she gets so much shit online, deservingly so, but she gets so much shit online because of her creative consulting, because of her interference with all this stuff. And I think she's trying to offload that to Dave Filoni because people love Dave Filoni. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure you'll see a bunch of people online saying, "Oh, this is stupid. Dave Filoni shouldn't get this." Those people are dumb, and they just want to hate. Haters gonna hate. You know. Jip says this is such a dub. Oh yeah, it is. I think this is the best way that Dave. Because Dave is not ready to do everything. He just needs to help every show, and that is such a W. Yeah, it really is. He can't write and direct every single Star Wars project that there is. He can't be directing and writing 3 shows a year and a movie every other year. That's physically impossible for one human being to do. It's impossible. So how are you going to get Dave Filoni's genius and what he knows and how to create Star Wars, his knowledge about Star Wars, how are you going to get that to every single project? You make him the creative or chief creative officer who's involved in production for every single thing. You know? Anthony, what's up, Anthony says, I just found out, Mike, nothing but good news. I'm sure it means a lot more. Visit from the maker along with Favreau, feeling freer to do what he does best. That's true. Yeah, Jon Favreau, I'm sure, feels a lot better too, because now he gets to kind of do his own thing without Kathleen Kennedy interfering, because we know that there's something going on behind the scenes between Jon Favreau and Kathleen, and now that kind of gets probably a little bit less. Tony says, I go to bed at 6 a.m. I'm a 24/7 caregiver. Wow, Tony. I agree. The movie will be the only one that he directs. Chief Creative Officer requires a whole new level of responsibility, one he would love to do. He's having a great day. I'm sure he's having a great day. I'm sure he is having a great day. And that's very cool, Tony. That's a very cool thing for you to do. Ian says, I just don't want him to overload and for it to interfere with his creative output. Well, that's why he's getting this job. Maybe he would have been overloaded if he was trying to write all these different projects. He's not doing that. Writers are going to come to him now, and he's going to help them out. And directors as well. And he's going to produce on every project, but he's not going to be spreading himself too thin. All right, let me do my comparison to Kevin Feige now that you are all here in attendance. Kevin Feige, during the first 3 phases of Marvel, was producing on every single movie. He was helping out, making sure he was on set. He was connecting everything, all the Easter... Like, think about Marvel from Iron Man 1 to Avengers Endgame. Every movie was connected in one way or another. It was a story, a cohesive story, that led all the way from Iron Man to Avengers Endgame. It was a build-up the entire way. Every single thing that happened from each movie had a effect in the next movie, and it led to this great cohesive story in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, and it really wrapped it up very nicely for not only Captain America, but Iron Man and all these other characters. Then, come to Phase 4 and Phase 5, Dave Filoni spread way too thin. They're releasing 4-ish shows a year, along with 3 movies a year, and you just can't have one guy doing all that. He can't have 7 projects coming out in 12 months that he can be in charge of, connecting each individual thing. Like, it can't be possible. Now, you still have great movies like Spider-Man No Way Home, like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. You have great shows like Loki, like WandaVision. But you can't be in charge of all of that. You can't. So you have shitty stuff like She-Hulk or Miss Marvel or Secret Invasion. You have shitty content like that because it's just not possible for one guy to do it all. So I think Star Wars is in a perfect spot because we're getting about 3-ish, 4-ish shows a year with no movies. When it comes to movies, we're going to get 1 maybe every other year, if not 1 every year. So Dave Filoni won't be split too thin because he won't be in charge of all of that. He'll just be in charge of connecting all of it. And there's not nearly as much content. So that's where I'm at. Movies and Beyond says, if they leave him alone, this is the best news ever. That's true. It is kind of like sit and wait type thing. Like, is Kathleen Kennedy going to still interfere? Is Dave Filoni going to be in charge of really everything creative, or is somebody else going to be kind of just nitpicking what he does? It's kind of like a wait and see type thing, but this is incredible news. If Kathleen Kennedy is in fact more going to focus on the business side and is not interfering in the creative side, this is the greatest news ever. Ever. Yeah. Anthony says, how much do you want to bet that George Lucas, Iger, and Filoni had a handle on all of this? I'm sure, without question, Kathleen does not love/like Dave Filoni. It has mentored him well, but other forces contributed. Oh, I'm sure Bob Iger had a say in this. I'm sure George Lucas didn't, but I'm sure it was a consensus to get. I mean, you watch Ahsoka, and you can't not give that guy more of the reins, you know? Well, that's pretty much what happened. Earlier this year, in about February, was when the producers and higher-ups at Disney and Lucasfilm saw Ahsoka, and immediately they gave Dave Filoni a movie, and they were like, "What do you want, Dave? We'll give you everything." And he's got this new role. He's gotten a promotion, Chief Creative Officer, because of what he did with Ahsoka. Now, it's, again, like I said before, it's a build-up from all the way from Clone Wars, building up into live action, to directing, to writing, all this stuff. But what he did with Ahsoka is what got him this job. And it told Disney, look, this guy is the guy, and we need him in charge of everything. Because if he can do what he did with Ahsoka to every single Star Wars project, then we're good. Then we'll be getting incredible New Republic, High Republic, Old Republic, post-sequel content, all connected, all in this vast, amazing galaxy that we know and love. Tony says, I hope the fans had an input as well. Well, yeah. If you look out online, if Lucasfilm's HR was looking out online, they would see that we love Dave Filoni and that he has done an incredible job with every single project he's been on, and he needs more of a role, and that's what we got. I'm sure the fans contributed. The difference is, though, in the Hollywood corporate world, powerful creatives wield a lot of sway in deciding bigger roles in major companies. Oh, for sure. There's no way that Dave Filoni didn't get this job without, like, Bob Iger's approval. Or any of the Disney higher-ups, I guess, approval, you know? John Groom, what's up? John says, oh, yes, super Dave Filoni. Yeah, pretty much. He's gotten this amazing job, and now he's got so much more power than he ever had. Unlimited, you know? So I'm very excited, but let's read the rest of this article because it goes into a lot of what Dave did in Ahsoka, and it's really, really good. So let's read this. So, Darth Vader's legacy in Ahsoka. Although Star Wars has literally thousands upon thousands of characters populating its various stories, the single greatest touchstone remains in Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader, who I still argue is the main character of Star Wars. Two sides of the same individual, one honorable and the other deplorable. Ahsoka was distinctive among Star Wars projects, being for delving into what is the like of dozens of the galaxies to emerge from that darkness. Ahsoka Tano was the Padawan apprentice, just like Luke Skywalker, wondering about how I just can't read today, guys, about how much of his own nature was inherited from his father. So the same way that Luke in the original trilogy was worried about becoming his father, that's why he goes into the cave on Dagobah and fights Vader and chops his head off and it comes off and it's him. He's worried about turning into his father. That's where Ahsoka's at the beginning of Ahsoka. She's worried about turning into her master, who she found out was Vader in Star Wars Rebels. Ahsoka's questions in this series whether it is possible to trust, let alone pass on, everything that she learned from the same man, her master. So she's worried about passing on what she knows from Anakin to Grogu, to Sabine, to all these people, because she doesn't think it's possible, or she thinks it's possible that she could be passing on the wrong information and turning Sabine or Grogu into the next Anakin Skywalker. She had a very particular idea of him, the Jedi Order, and who she was in all of that for a very long time until that image was shattered, Rosario Dawson said. So she had a very particular image of Anakin in the Jedi Order, and that image was shattered when she finds out that Anakin is Vader in Star Wars Rebels. I believe it's in Season 2. Ahsoka literally passes out because she realizes that she feels Anakin inside of Darth Vader. She senses him inside of Vader. And that's when she realizes that her master lives, and she literally passes out because it's so much to take in. And it's crazy. And that'll do something to you, especially for Ahsoka, because she was training probably Sabine at the time, or no, she trains Sabine a little bit after Rebels. But she stops training because she doesn't want her to turn out like Anakin. The point we graduate to here is, yeah, he did some terrible things, and he also did some really great things. And it's always up to you to choose your direction. She can look back at her own life. She's gone through some hardships that could have been the moment that she had turned to the dark, but she didn't go there. So I think she started to trust in herself. And that's kind of what the whole World Between Worlds sequence is with her and Anakin, is her figuring out that every person is different and it's their decision. And she realizes that she had many opportunities to go to the dark side, but she didn't go there. She's not her master, who did go there. The series continues an arc from the animated Rebels series set at the beginning of the Galactic Uprising, when Vader was at his full power as the Imperial Enforcer, and Ahsoka came face to mask with her former mentor. I had introduced in Rebels the idea that she came to understand that Anakin had become Darth Vader. I never really dealt with the fallout of that, Filoni said. How does that affect someone when a person that they really admire and look up to turns out not to be the person that they thought they were? Are we all just capable of falling from grace? And what is forgiveness? What shape does that look like? Did it take the good part of this person with me as well as the bad, or am I just the good? I thought there were a lot of interesting challenges for Ahsoka, and he really dives into this, and this picture is amazing. You got Ezra over here with the blue lightsaber, Ahsoka with the two white, and then Sabine over there with the green lightsaber. But I thought this was very interesting. I mean, Dave Filoni took this story of Ahsoka, and of course her being taught by one of the most evil people in the galaxy at the time, and how she copes with that in Rebels. It was spectacular. But in the Ahsoka show, it's a little bit different because now she's sort of a lot older. It's about, I don't know, 11 years later. So she's a lot older. She's thought about this for a long, long time. And now Anakin's dead. And she knows that, of course. And now Anakin's dead, but she's worried about the destiny of this whole thing. What she is going to impart on her apprentice and how that's going to affect them. It's very, very well written by Dave Filoni. In episode 5 of the Ahsoka series, Rosario Dawson's character is defeated and nearly killed in battle by a fallen Jedi turned mercenary named Baylan Skoll, played by the late Ray Stevenson, who casts her off a cliff into a raging sea. She then goes through what appears to be a near-death experience, transporting her to the liminal space known as in Star Wars lore as the world between worlds, where the spirit of Anakin helps guide her through the conflicting roiling inside her. Whatever. Maybe he's also a warning of what can still happen. But that's still significant in a positive way if you want it to be, Rosario says. So what she's saying right here is maybe he's still a warning because he does go dark side in that last little battle there, because he's a warning of what still can be. But Ahsoka chooses to live at the end of all that because she still thinks there's, of course, good in her and that she can impart that on the next generation. The way that she kind of goes to Jason Syndulla after she comes out of the water is very kind of an example of that. She's going to train the next generation. She's going to train Sabine. She's also probably she kind of did train Ezra a little bit in Rebels, but she's going to train him probably more. And they're going to train Jason, and maybe she even has part in this new Jedi Order in the Rey movie. We'll see. In many ways, the character of Ahsoka Tano is growing up along with the fans who first encountered Ahsoka when they were children, watching in the animated series in the late 2000s. The things she asks in the Ahsoka series are grown-up questions for legacy and destiny. Is she still on the right path? Should she discard her past in order to move forward? Or are the flawed things still worth persevering? We are able to take a little bit more time to go. Wait, what? We're able to take a little bit more time to go. Time to go. What does this feel like? What does this mean? And we explore those choices that come from that kind of reckoning. And that's why a lot of people who are like, oh, the Ahsoka show's 8 episodes and it's too slow and blah, 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 blah. That's ridiculous. It's 8 episodes and it's jam-packed with this story from start to finish of this character development arc of Ahsoka Tano. She goes from being the person who doesn't want to train Sabine or Grogu or anybody because she doesn't want what she learned from her master to turn into a future Anakin Skywalker. And she goes on this entire 8-episode arc of learning that that's not the case. And then she becomes Ahsoka the White in episode 6 or 5. And then she goes to a new galaxy and finds that that's where she's supposed to be. That's where she's destined to be. We've seen that when she decides to leave the Jedi Order, we saw that when she walked away from Anakin, they've been pivotal moments. This felt like a seminal moment again. This is a different rite of passage. That's true too. There's many different moments we've seen in Ahsoka's story that really shows how Ahsoka is different from not only Anakin, but the rest of the Jedi Order, because when she leaves the Order, she sees the flaws. Many people have left the Order, and in recent past it was Dooku, and you have Anakin, of course, but Ahsoka leaves the order and doesn't go to the dark side like Dooku did or like Anakin does. She leaves the order to stay the light. And it's very different, but it's a very pivotal moment in her character development. And so is the moment where she dies and meets Anakin in the World Between Worlds. Now we actually get an interview, I believe, with Hayden himself, which is pretty cool. So let's talk about Hayden Christensen. Hayden Christensen's return to Anakin. The World Between Worlds sequence in Ahsoka opened the door to Hayden Christensen to return as Anakin Skywalker, reprising the role of the brash young Jedi he first performed in Attack of the Clones and in Revenge of the Sith. The actor previously came back. My foot is stuck on a wire. I don't want to unplug it. Hang on. Fixed it. Okay. Where was I? The actor previously came back as the scared and broken Vader in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, but Ahsoka offered him a chance to revisit the character post-redemption, so after he's redeemed himself in Return of the Jedi. Hayden Christensen says he played it with a deliberate sense of uncertainty. Is that really him, or is this a fragment of Ahsoka's troubled mind? And I really loved how they kept that up for your own kind of interpretation in the Ahsoka show in that episode 5, because all that sequence could kind of just be like in her own head type thing. It's kind of up for your own interpretation, and that's why the World Between Worlds is not a time travel device, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hayden himself. That's the beauty of how the episode was constructed, in my opinion, the actor says. Inevitably, the audience has to question, what is it they're watching? Is this the World Between Worlds? What is the World Between Worlds? Is this actually the spirit of Anakin Skywalker, or is this all in Ahsoka's subconscious? And we're just going down the yellow brick road as she's drowning and fighting for her life. I think that the episode provides a few real good clues, but it doesn't spell it out for you. That is very well said by Hayden right there. Let's actually reread that because that's very, very well said. Inevitably, the audience has to question what they are watching. Is this really the World Between Worlds? What is the World Between Worlds? Is this actually the spirit of Anakin Skywalker, or is this all just in Ahsoka's subconscious and we're just going down the yellow brick road as she's drowning and fighting for her life? Wow. That is episode 5 to a T, and very well put by Hayden himself. Because it could just be that in her own subconscious, her fighting for her own life versus her former master. But at the same time, she's also learning a lesson from her former master. So maybe she's really there in the World Between Worlds. But what really is the World Between Worlds? Because we don't really know. We don't. Only the description we have is from Dave Filoni, and it's a very mysterious one at best. Filoni prefers to leave the mystery open to interpretation, but he defers to Lucas as the definite storyteller on Vader. For him, this show is about how Ahsoka's character dealt with her past, rather than continuing the cautionary tale of Anakin Skywalker as a Force ghost. So this isn't a continuation of the Anakin character, it's more a continuation of Ahsoka's character, with Anakin just being there because Anakin's such an important role in Ahsoka's life. And that's just fucking genius. My feelings about Anakin is that George resolved everything about Anakin. That's it. In 6 movies, in 6 seasons of Clone Wars, he resolved Anakin's character. From the start, being born a slave on Tatooine, turning to the dark side, being a completely evil force on the galaxy for many, many years, and then redeeming himself via his son. That resolved. George did that. Anakin's character's done. I don't think I have anything to do there. I'm not trying to add on anything, he says. Everything Anakin's involved with is about Ahsoka, about her. It's about her point of view, not Anakin's. It's about what Anakin taught her. He's there in more of the Obi-Wan role than we saw in the old movies. So he's more the Obi-Wan, like in the original movies, than he is actually Anakin. Still, Ahsoka suggests that even after Anakin's story was complete, the character continues as Jekyll and Hyde struggle to maintain his decency, with Vader still lurking somewhere within. Flashes of Vader lurk lurch out in Ahsoka's visions. Of course, we see the cool flash between Anakin and Vader. Or maybe that's just Ahsoka's imagination. There's also an interpretation that the spirit of Anakin intercedes to save her from death, rescuing her old apprentice from falling into the ocean, which I actually like to see it that way, because I think Anakin did learn how to save the ones that he loved from dying, and that's what we're seeing in the Ahsoka show. But there's, again, many different ways you can look at this. There's a lot to unpack, potentially. Hayden Christensen says, I was getting to play a version of the character that I hadn't before, which is cool. And that was the all-knowing, all-powerful Jedi Master who could wield both sides of the Force, the dark and the light, at will, being the balance within the Force, also sort of alluding to the Father there. And maybe has the power to save Ahsoka's life, which also is very interesting because that is the power that he was trying to achieve, and he pledged himself to the dark side for. Of course, Hayden Christensen knows this character so well from the prequel trilogy, so everything he's sort of saying here is spot on. But he's talking about the Father here when he's talking about using both sides of the Force, the dark side and the light. But also he talks about what I just said, being able to save the ones that he loves from dying, which is why he turned to the dark side in the first place. And he's achieved that power. Oh, this fucking 5th episode is so incredible. It's amazing. In the final shots of the series, the Force ghost of Anakin quietly watches Ahsoka from afar as she speaks with her Force-sensitive trainee, Sabine. Like planets in a solar system aligning, that one shot gives viewers a perspective of 3 generations of Jedi. Anakin, of course, he is there with her, Filoni says. He has always been there with her, but she just hasn't been able to see him. She couldn't feel it, and she didn't know it. She has isolated herself and made herself alone because she was afraid. But then when she looks off into the distance, you can see her smile and be relieved that Anakin's presence is there. She has done a great deal to alleviate that fear from her in the Ahsoka show. And so there's a moment, I think, he's proud of her at the end. He sees that she is going to be a better mentor than he was. I debate Force ghosts with people all the time. To me, what they are mainly is inspiration. You have people in your life and that I'm sure have inspired you, and you feel the same, and you feel that all the time. You feel that when you need it. So he's more saying that Force ghosts aren't actually, well, they're there, but they're more inspiration. And even when somebody's not physically there, they can still inspire you, and that's what a Force ghost really is, which is a pretty good damn take on the Force ghost side of things, you know? Pretty damn cool. So we're going to get into this Sabine Wren sort of dealio here. And but let's talk about just Anakin in that Ahsoka scene, in that sort of world between worlds shit. This is why we're so excited for Dave Filoni to get this new role, okay? This is why him being in charge of the creative side is so damn cool. Because episode 5 of Ahsoka is the best episode of any Star Wars Disney Plus content. And it's completely up to your own interpretation. And Dave Filoni did that in such a crazy way where it's not about Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker is the coolest character in Star Wars. But none of that is about him. It's all about Ahsoka. It's all about her journey. He might not even actually physically be there. He might not even be there at all. It might just all be in her subconscious. But also at the same time, it could be Anakin learning the thing that made him fall to the dark side, which is the ability to save the ones that he loves from dying, which could have been what was going on in that scene. But that's all up to your own interpretation, and that's so damn cool. And that's why this guy who did that alone, just take that one episode. The whole series is incredible, but take that one episode. The guy who did that created the world between worlds and then said, is this the world between worlds? What is the world between worlds? I created this bitch and you don't even know what it is. It could be this. It could be that. It could be her own subconscious. It could be reality. It could be this actual place outside of space and time that doesn't make any sense at all, but it could actually be there. That's how good this guy is. And that's why we wanted him in charge of everything. That's why he is in charge of everything. That's why we want it. Matthew, what's up? Matthew says, I want a Luke Skywalker movie or show. They waste Mark Hamill's time. Well, I agree with you that I want a Luke Skywalker show or movie. But it's hard to do that. To deepfake Luke for an entire show, you know? It's a little bit harder than you'd think, you know? All right, let me catch up on some of your chats here. Tony says, meaning that Dave Filoni creative output generates more revenue for Disney than anyone else, or has the potential to generate more revenue for sure. Oh, 100%. If Dave Filoni's in charge of every single project, those projects are bound to make more money. So obviously the higher ups at Disney know that, and that's why they put him in charge. Meaning the higher ups in Hollywood know that Filoni gets Star Wars, is George Lucas's true Padawan, and generates high quality content. Plus, he's loved by the fellow creatives. Positive energy. Oh, for sure, 100%. He's a no-brainer for the job. Tony says, I'm just now rewatching the series with my client and explaining it while we watch it together. We just rewatched the World Between Worlds episode last night. I'm going to have to go rewatch that episode tonight because it's so damn good. I've watched it 100 times by now, I'm sure. But yeah, I definitely want it for sure. It's amazing. It's amazing. Anthony says, the events that occur in the World Between Worlds are some of the most seminal moments in the Star Wars universe. It shows Anakin's elevation to the God tier, or the Father, and Ahsoka's Jedi knighthood, and Jason Syndulla's unique power and role in the upcoming galaxy. That is very true. That is very true. It does so much, but it did so much in Rebels as well. The World Between Worlds is such a unique tool to the Star Wars galaxy, and I hope that's not the last time we see it, you know? But don't overuse it. Also, my take, Ahsoka fell and was caught by Anakin. Had a training/therapy session underwater in the World Between Worlds. It was real because Jason heard the training in the real time. He also saved her. Yeah, I think Anakin saved Ahsoka. Yes, I think Anakin is the Father. I think he has the ability to save the ones that he loves. But at the same time, Jason heard the fighting. Meaning the World Between Worlds was something that he could hear in the real world. Crazy, 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 crazy. This is all crazy. Your pal Joe, what's up? Says, what's up, Mike? This is some sick news about Filoni. It's about damn time this man got the promotion. Yeah, it is about damn time, for sure. And what's up, Joe? It's been a while. Keto says, a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Oh, yeah. What a fantastic season finale. It felt extremely satisfying after Ahsoka was over. Oh, yeah, 100%. Seeing Anakin watching over her was a great way to end it. Now, of course, it left it very open-ended with Balin seeing or maybe Abeloth, we don't really know, standing on the Mortis gods, with Shin going to rule the bandits, but most importantly, Thrawn going to the original galaxy, becoming heir to the Empire with the Night Sisters on Dathomir. It set up a lot of stuff for the future of Star Wars, but it was a good end cap to that story arc that Ahsoka was going on through the entire series. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Matthew says, at least have him as a cameo in the Heir to the Empire movie. I think he'll be a lot bigger than a cameo. I do, Matthew. I really, really do. At least I hope. I really, really hope. My biggest problem with the sequels is Kylo thought the Emperor's vision was Vader, and Anakin never showed up to him different. He never showed up for Luke either. Yes, that's the biggest problem. Why didn't Anakin Skywalker show up to his son or to his grandson to tell them what was going on? The craziest thing is Vader knows about Exegol. He goes there in the canon comics. He knows that Exegol exists. And yet he didn't tell Luke or his grandson that it existed, that Palpatine was still alive. He just didn't tell him anything. And that's just stupid. Really dumb. Needs explaining for sure. Definitely needs explaining. Where was he? What happened? But also he didn't interfere with Ahsoka. Other than when he saves his life, I guess. Saves her life, I should say. I don't know. We'll see. Sears B Reviews, what's up? Says, Jason will be more powerful than his father for sure. I think so. I think his father was a good Jedi, but he wasn't powerful at all. Kanan Jarrus is extremely weak when it comes to the whole Jedi Order. Like, in the grand scope of things, grand scheme of things, I should say, he is not the strongest when it comes to Jedi. He is actually pretty weak. You can see him get tossed around by Vader and even Maul, and even Ahsoka's way more powerful than him, and that's very evident in Rebels. But I think his son could be more powerful. I mean, already he's showing signs of it, hearing the world between worlds and all this crazy stuff. So maybe, and if he gets trained by Ahsoka, or even Ezra, I guess, but Ahsoka more so, I think he'll be very powerful. Yeah. Matthew says, I already read that. Cappy says, a movie about what happened to Jango Fett's head. Oh yeah, that'll be great. I wonder what happened to Jango Fett's head. I'm sure it just got, like, left there. Or buried, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. That's why I want Jason to be a Jedi/Force user, member of the Church of the Force, and a pilot for the New Republic. Huh. He would be the eye of the eyes for the galaxy. I don't know if Jason's gonna be actually he could be a pilot because of his mom. I could see that. I think Jason is probably going to be the one that was piloting the Ghost in Rise of Skywalker, because if you don't know the Rise of Skywalker, the Battle of Exegol, the Ghost is present at that battle. I think it's going to be Jason Syndulla who is piloting that ship and not Hera. I think Hera will probably be dead by that time. But I think Jason will become a good pilot, probably fly the Ghost, and hopefully a good Jedi as well. Yeah, for sure. Your pal Joe says, Jason seems very similar to Ezra in how he senses his surroundings. That's true. Ezra's very powerful with the Force, and I don't really think that was too evident in the Ahsoka show, other than when he's Force pushing and stuff. His connection to animals and just other Force abilities makes him extremely powerful. I don't know if Jason's really at that level, you know? Ezra's extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Yeah. Yeah. Jason don't need the Google Maps. No, he does not. No, he does not. Cappy, I can definitely say that I missed you. Your nonsensical comments make me happy. Exactly. To be able to hear Anakin and Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds is something unheard of. I will be watching his career with great interest. Yeah, Jason's going to be a powerful Force user for sure. And I hope he gets the correct training from Ahsoka or even Ezra to be a powerful Jedi. It's gonna be very, very interesting. Oh, great. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if Ahsoka or Ezra, or maybe a combination of both, starts their own Jedi Order. Because Rey's going to be starting her own Jedi Order, but what if they start it on Peridia? Like, what if they all just up and leave, go to a new galaxy, and start their own Jedi, you know? Anthony says, which is why I hope Ezra ends up being an older brother/uncle to Jason, training him in the ways of the Force. These two working on a problem together with the Force. Whoa, yeah, that's true. They'll be both very powerful with the Force and be able to accomplish some great things. Matthew says, I think Rey basically was Disney's version of Jaina Solo, aka the Sword of the Jedi. The Scorn, sure, who continued the Jedi tradition. Just in Disney, she is an adopted adopted Skywalker, not by blood. Yeah, she is kind of the canon version of Jaina, but I think a lot of fans don't like that because it's not the version that they really want, you know? General Grievous, what's up, General Grievous? How you doing? Your pal Joe says, I would love to see Ezra become his master. Yeah, it would be cool. But going back to Matthew's point, I think Rey's new Jedi Order movie could be done in a way that fans would like. Now, not all fans, of course, because fans are going to just completely neglect it just at face value, which I don't blame them. But there is fans that are open-minded, I guess I should say, will be open to seeing this movie and will be open to seeing what the future Jedi Order looks like. Now, with Rey, with Ahsoka, with Jason, with Ezra, with Sabine, with Cal Kestis, with these characters, we could have something very, very cool with the addition of Finn as well. It would be very, very cool. Yeah. It's like poetry. The student of Canaan trains the son of Canaan. Yeah, it is, obviously. Ezra training Jason is a no-brainer, and I definitely don't think that Dave's gonna miss the opportunity to do that one. For sure. 100%. Actually, what's very cool is 91% of you, which is very, very high, are very happy with Dave Filoni's promotion. That's awesome. That's what we like to see. People are excited about this. Very. John Groom says, so do you think that Dave will change anything about the Rey movie? Well, he's definitely got time to do that. It's being written right now. It's probably close to being done written by Stephen Knight right now. So he has the ability to interfere or make better, I should say, with this Rey movie. So I certainly hope he does that. I think he's going to interconnect these movies. I was making a video months ago, before Ahsoka even started, before I got all tied in with Ahsoka. I was making a video and I never finished it, but I'm going to probably go back and do it, about how the New Jedi Order movie, which is the Rey movie, and the Dawn of the Jedi movie are going to be extremely connected. And they're going to be coming out one year after the next, but I think they're going to be very connected. Because I think the Rey movie is going to involve the ancient texts, which are, of course, the origins of the Jedi. And Rey is going to use those texts to rebuild the Jedi. Now, I think that's going to directly tie into the Dawn of the Jedi movie, because I think Rey, why do I keep calling her fucking Ahsoka? Rey is going to probably go to a lot of these locations where the Jedi originated from, maybe Tython, maybe Ahch-To, and then we're going to get to see those same locations. Maybe there's ruins there when Rey goes there, maybe there's ancient temples, and then we're going to go back to the Dawn of the Jedi when they're creating those temples and living there, and it'll look like more pristine and what all, like, it'll be a cool, like, contrast type thing. And I think that's what they're going to do with the Dawn of the Jedi movie and the New Jedi Order movie, to sort of connect the two. And I think Dave Filoni's going to do that a lot. I think he's going to connect almost every single project he can. Not only that, we talked about on Saturday's stream, what was the main topic? The cancellation of the Knights of the Old Republic game. That was the whole topic of the conversation. Almost the entire stream was the cancellation of the Knights of the Old Republic game. And do you guys remember, I said on Saturday, this might actually be happening because they're not ready to go to the Old Republic yet. They want to do the Old Republic correctly. And now this news comes out a few days later, and it just backs that even more. I think Dave Filoni knows the Old Republic is so important to fans. He is a huge extended universe guy himself, so he knows the Old Republic very, very well. He's the guy who wanted to sort of bring in Darth Revan's, like, Force Ghost type thing in Clone Wars, all that stuff. He really loves the Old Republic. So I think him getting this new role is great news for the Old Republic, because I think a full-on planned trilogy on TV spinoff, on animated spinoff, all that stuff is going to be planned, well executed, all because of Dave Filoni. I think he's going to oversee all of it. I think he's going to be able to do everything that we want from the Old Republic. Think about all the fan service that we're getting from it. Fan service is literally just a word for good content at this point. Think of all the good content we're getting from Dave Filoni in the Mandoverse, from Grogu, the character of Grogu himself, but also from the extension of the story from the Clone Wars and Rebels, which Dave Filoni started, the story of Clone Wars and Rebels. The Mandalorians regaining their homeworld, all that stuff. Not even that, you got Luke Skywalker's redemption in The Mandalorian Season 2. You have the apprentice of Anakin, which is Ahsoka, and the son of Anakin, which is Luke, meeting in the Book of Boba Fett. Then you have the Ahsoka show, which is just incredible. You have all of that. It's a very well thought out story that has been being executed pretty well. Now, there's some sort of kinks in there with Gina Carano being fired, the Rangers show being canceled. All that stuff is a little bit different, but it's a well thought out plan from Mando Season 2, I would say, because I don't think it was planned out from Mando Season 1. Mando Season 2, all the way up until Skeleton Crew and to the movie further down the line. So I think Dave Filoni's going to take all this, what he's learned, what he's learning, and go to the Old Republic and have a well thought out plan. He's probably going to go to the Dawn of the Jedi first, and then go from there, because you're going to go Dawn of the Jedi, then Old Republic, then High Republic, and go from there. But I think it's a great idea. I think it's a fantastic idea, not only to put Dave Filoni in charge, I think that's a no-brainer, but to have him plan out the next 15, 20 years of Star Wars content in a well-thought-out, well-connected, well-executed way is extremely important, and it's amazing. Oh, John Groom. John asks the toughest question of all. Does Dave Filoni now have the power to fully retcon the sequel trilogy? I'm going to say no. I still don't think the sequels will ever be retconned. I don't think it's possible. I think they're never going anywhere. They still make way too much money. It's not possible. However, Dave Filoni is known for retconning here and there. He retconned the destruction of Yoda's lightsaber, which was in a canon comic. He retconned that so that Luke could offer it up to Grogu. He retconned Kanan Jarrus' story in the Bad Batch episode 1 of season 1. He retconned Ahsoka's story in Tales of the Jedi. Now, these are minor retcons. However, they make the story better. Luke offering the lightsaber of Yoda to Grogu, or Baby Yoda, is so much better than Yoda's lightsaber being destroyed in a comic. So it is a retcon, but it's a retcon for a good purpose. So could he do that for the sequel trilogy as well? I don't see why not. I don't see why not. Now, they would be small retcons. They wouldn't be drastic retcons like, oh, this didn't happen. This whole sequel trilogy didn't happen. But there could be small retcons here and there. He's known for doing that. He is known for doing that. Yeah. Cappy says, they should milk it and make a new phrase like, Ray the Force be with you. Oh, yeah. Ray the Force be with you. Let's do it. Why not? Matthew says, Dave has been in charge of Star Wars for 15 years anyway. He just wasn't the head of Lucasfilm and didn't ruin the movies. Or didn't run the movies. Definitely not. Dave has not been in charge of nearly anything. He did Rebels. He did... you said 15 years. So 15 years would put us to 2008. He worked on the Clone Wars with George Lucas. He was definitely not in charge of the Clone Wars with George Lucas. Then Disney buys it out. He's not in charge of the sequels. He's not in charge of the movies, like you said. But when it comes to shows, he did Rebels, for sure. Then The Mandalorian comes around. He did that with Jon Favreau. He wasn't really in charge of that because he hasn't done any live action yet. So he wasn't in charge. Jon Favreau was in charge. Then we got Kenobi, which he wasn't involved in. We got Andor, which he wasn't involved in, at least as far as we know. Maybe he put in a few Easter eggs here and there. You have Tales of the Jedi, which he was involved in. Bad Batch, which he was involved in. And, of course, Book of Boba Fett, which he directs one episode, but he's not that involved with on the writing side or directing or producing side. And then you have Ahsoka, which he is involved in. So, no, he's not in charge of Star Wars over the last 15 years at all. He's been learning for the last 15 years how to become in charge of Star Wars, which he now has the ability to do. And that's what we're at. Mike, based on the way things are screwy with Star Wars right now, my hope is that Ahsoka or Ezra create a Order of the Force, neither the Jedi or the Sith. We need options. Yes, I think getting sort of multiple Jedi Order maybe isn't the ideal way, because Rey's supposed to be starting this new Jedi Order. I don't know. We'll see. Activate the Rey shields. Oh, no. Ian says, I feel sad that Ahsoka doesn't learn how Qui-Gon saved the Jedi. Qui-Gon saved the Jedi? I'm confused. I don't know what you're referring to, Ian. Movies and Beyond says, I'm ready for Old Republic stuff. Me too. I'm so ready to go just, like, away from the entire Skywalker saga. You can still... I'm kind of conflicted. Let me ask you guys. Do you guys want them to focus on one specific time like the Old Republic and only release Old Republic content? Movies, games, comics, shows, all of it's just Old Republic. Or do you want them to continue what they're doing in giving us content between the originals and the prequels, the originals and the sequels, post-sequels, before the prequels, like all over the place? Or do you want it to be one specific time? Everything is cohesive in that one specific time. I go back and forth on it because I would love to go to the Old Republic and just go to the Old Republic. However, if you do a Dawn of the Jedi movie and it's really, really good, and those characters and actors are really, really good, actors age, characters not so much. So, characters age, but like they can age at however speed you want them to. Actors age like humans age. So you need to use the actors as they are. So if you were going to continue post-sequel world with characters like Finn or Rey, you need to do that before the actors get too old. So you can't go to the Old Republic and just stay in the Old Republic if you want to go back and do something with those characters. So I'm not too opposed to the kind of bouncing around all over the place, because people like us, these sweaty nerds like us, we can kind of decipher all of that. But for the normie fans, it would be a lot simpler if it was kind of trilogy after trilogy after trilogy of cohesive storytelling, you know? I wonder what you guys think about that. Knights of the Fallen Empire. John, I already said that. I'm happy for Dave Filoni's promotion. Me too, General Grievous. Matthew says, I think Jon Favreau is a better director than writer or showrunner. I want his Star Wars 7 or John Carter of Mars. I wanted his Star Wars 7? I don't know what you're referring to. Matthew says, they use the comics and novels as a guideline only. Personally, the new EU is like the old. It's the way to sell books. They slap a canon label on to make it seem important. That's true to an extent, Matthew, but the canon comics and novels are canon. Now, maybe some of the stuff gets a little bit altered by Dave Filoni, but every piece of information in those is canon. So, like, we were going to talk about today, and I don't know if we'll get to it today, but we're going to talk about how a new Vader comic showed that Vader was tracking these 8 Force-sensitive children during the time of the Empire. And the rumor is that these 8 Force-sensitive children later go on to be in Luke's Jedi Temple, in his Jedi Academy, which would be very, very cool. But only that sort of like very interconnected stuff happens in the comics and the novels. You got a bunch of sort of falling of Kylo Ren comics, which I think should be brought into live action, but you know, whatever. But you have a lot of stuff being explained in books, in comics. And I don't think that's the way it should happen, but it is the way that it happens, and it is canon information. So it's, yeah. Caleb Richardson, what's up, Caleb, says, I'm surprised that Jon Favreau still hasn't been offered to direct a Star Wars movie yet. He's done a great job with The Mandalorian so far, and he did all right with Book of Boba Fett from a directing standpoint. Yeah, he's a fantastic director, and look at his past. I mean, he did Iron Man, which started the MCU, but he did a lot of other stuff in the early 2000s and beyond. He did The Jungle Book in more recent past with Disney as well. He's a fantastic director. I'm just more so wondering if they're waiting for like the right project for him. I don't really know. I think he actually likes doing shows more as sort of a story perspective. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. He was offered The Force Awakens and he said no. Matthew, where did you get that? I've never heard that before. Did he really? Was he offered The Force Awakens and said no? That hurts my soul. Imagine a Jon Favreau episode 7. Oh, that sucks. Damn it. I don't like that. He forces everyone to wear cowboy hats. I hope he does, Cappy. I really hope he does, because everybody looks better in a cowboy hat. Let's be honest. Matthew says, and they deliberately avoided a post-Return of the Jedi era with Luke in the extended universe beyond the comics and novels for obvious reasons. What do you mean? The whole extended universe is post-episode 6, Luke. Oh, in the new extended universe. Well, yeah, because they're going to explore it in live action. I think. At least, I hope. We'll see. They did go into a lot of it, at least leading up to the sequel trilogy in comics with the fall of Kylo Ren and stuff like that. But yeah. John says, if they do create multiple Jedi Order, they eventually will have to go to war with each other or at least be at odds. What better way to create a new Sith Order by having Jedi turn by having a Jedi Order turn dark? Yeah, that'd probably be what eventually happens, I'm sure. Yeah, and it'd probably be Rey's Jedi Order because she's a Palpatine. Ian says, Qui-Gon learned how to become a Force ghost and the faults of the Jedi and taught Yoda and Obi-Wan how the Jedi failed and what they should have been. That's true. Qui-Gon always saw that, though, when he was even alive. He just only taught that to them in the afterlife. But, yeah, I guess, yes, true. True. Yeah. Caleb says, I'm just curious, with the KOTOR remake cancellation, I wonder if they have a plan for that era. And they don't want a non-canon game to interfere with that because to confuse casual fans. Caleb, I am right there with you. I think that's what's going on. I think the reason that the KOTOR remake hasn't been sort of backed by Disney at all or Sony is because of that reason. They're waiting to do the Old Republic and do the Old Republic right. They don't want to confuse casual fans, but also they don't want a non-canon story to be interjected before they even get to it. You know? Anthony says, I heard that John was offered to do a Star Wars film around 2013. Kathleen and co. said no thank you. The rumor was he was called back after episode 8 saying, we need your help. Oh, really? I've not heard that. I mean, whatever. We'll see. Sear Speed Review says, I gotta go. But hooray. We got some great Star Wars today. Yeah, may the Force be with you. Thanks, Sear Speed. I do appreciate that. And yes, it is a great day to be a Star Wars fan today. Good news is always good news. I love it. I'm loving it. It's such a good time to be a Star Wars fan. I've been saying that for 6 months, and it really is paying off now. It's such a good time to be a Star Wars fan. I mean, this channel is growing at such a rapid rate. I could not have anticipated this. This was insane. We're up to 3,200 subscribers. We literally started the year at, I think, less than 1,000. I could be wrong. But it's crazy, and I could not appreciate you guys anymore. It's incredible. It's incredible what we've been able to do here, and it's only because you guys that we're able to sit here and do this on a nice Thanksgiving Eve. So on this Thanksgiving, or Eve, I should say, on this Thanksgiving week, I gotta say, I'm thankful for you guys, because without you guys, none of this exists. I wouldn't be live right now. We wouldn't be talking about this. We wouldn't be hyped up about this news. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So I can't thank you guys enough in this time of giving thanks. Give thanks to people who you wouldn't usually around you, your families, whatever, your friends, whatever. Be the person who gives thanks this week, because it's the perfect time to do so around the holidays. And of course, we wouldn't be here without you guys 100%. It's all you guys. This is all you. This is all you. And honestly, I've been talking about this. I want to get to 4,000 subscribers before the end of the year. That'll be incredible. I think we can do it. But next week, on Saturday's stream, I think even, by Saturday's stream, I should be done with it. We'll have lights behind it. It'll be a whole Christmas thing. I got a Christmas Yoda, a Christmas Vader. I'm going to have an amazing holiday special set up for you guys for the whole month of December. It'll be awesome. And I can't wait. It's going to be a very fun month for December, especially now that a bunch of news is coming out, especially now that the strikes are over. It's going to be a really fun time. A really, really fun time. Yeah. Caleb says, I will say, I think they want the High Republic to be the test run for canon Old Republic. They wanted to see what they could have, what it would entail to have a era separate from the main Star Wars saga. True, Caleb, 100%. 100% true. The High Republic is just a test for that. And I think the High Republic is doing very poor in the sales scheme of things, but it's a good story. And honestly, I think once we get to the High Republic in canon, like live action stuff, like shows and movies, I think then people will probably go back to read those books to get more information, sort of, and then that's when the sales will kind of go up, Ian says, "Wow, you really have grown." Yes. Not physically, though. I'm still 6'5". I was 6'5" at the beginning of the year, and I'm still 6'5". Anthony says, it'll be so interesting to see how Filoni will contribute in and fashion the High Republic. It is going to be very interesting because I'm sure Dave knows all about the High Republic, and I'm sure he loves all those characters because they're very Dave Filoni-esque characters in the High Republic, and I'm sure he's really excited to dive into those, you know? It's literally a whole cast of brand new, awesome characters just sitting there waiting for them. Well, I guess 2 casts of characters with the Old Republic and the High Republic. Can I get some good cups follow orders, please? I know. Seen better days. It's a struggling cup, okay? Caleb says, having a new era that's been relatively untouched by the old EU/Legends, and they wanted to... Whoa. The hell is that? I think I got it. I didn't catch it. Okay. Having a new era that has been relatively untouched by the old EU/Legends, and they wanted to just kind of test the grounds for how it would work. It would all work launching this new era. Yeah, I think, Caleb, you're spot on, for sure. I think the High Republic was a test run for that, 100%. Ian says, you need to wear a cowboy hat on the next stream. I do have a cowboy hat. I could do that. I could do that for you. It's actually a black cowboy hat, though, so it might blend into the background. Yeah. Cabby says, they need to make a Star Wars horror movie. No, definitely not. I don't think Star Wars should ever be 2 things, horror or rated R. Now, maybe those 2 things are the same thing, but, they should never be the same sort of thing. Now, you could argue maybe rated R, but I don't think so. I think Star Wars should be where it's at, either PG or PG-13. It's where it belongs. I think the horrorist you're going to get is the zombie troopers in Ahsoka, and I think that's okay. Yeah. But I do have, going back to the wearing a cowboy hat, I do have some holiday festive type stuff to wear. I got a Star Wars ugly sweater for you guys. And it's not ugly at all. Okay? It's not ugly. All right, let's read this other article about the Dave Filoni news here. Wait, what the hell? Where is this? It is lost. Where are you? Okay. I guess we're going to read this instead. Katee Sackhoff talking about Bo Katan and how she's not overwhelming or taking over the role of Din Djarin. Let's talk about this. Rose, what's up? Rose says, hey, yo, just joining. What's up? How we doing? I could go for some R-rated hot clone action, but that's just me. Oh, God, Ian. Tony says, there are some Clone Wars arcs that are close to being a horror show. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but not really. I think Vader snapping necks in Obi-Wan was as hard as it gets. Yeah, I know. How much more horror do you want? He's literally walking down the road snapping people's necks. Like, I mean, come on. All right, let's read this about Katee Sackhoff and The Mandalorian. So Katee Sackhoff responds to Pedro Pascal's comments on Bo Katan taking over The Mandalorian. So let's read this. Bo Katan's actress Katee Sackhoff commented on the speculation that Pedro Pascal's Din Djarin would be replaced in The Mandalorian with her Clone Wars character. As season 3 of Lucasfilm hit Disney Plus series was airing, many fans felt that the show's title was referring to not just Din Djarin, but also Bo Katan, due to her strong presence in the new episodes. This would make her the title Mando instead, which would certainly riled up the fan base. One of the show's exclusive producers supported the idea that Bo Katan supported the idea of Bo Katan getting the spotlight. In an interview with Variety, Pedro Pascal himself noted how he thought that the heavy focus on Bo Katan was great, in that it also brings into full realization a beloved character that is from the world of executive producer Dave Filoni. So obviously, it's bringing a character from animation to live action and giving her an important role. The actor made it clear that the character is taking center stage, and is something he would want to see for the character as a fan of the Clone Wars. So of course, this is Pedro Pascal again. Many people question Pedro Pascal's sort of allegiance to Star Wars, as he doesn't really want to be in Star Wars, as it seems in every interview he talks about it. He doesn't really like playing the character, but that's just kind of what we get from that. Katee Sackhoff comments on this, though. In an exclusive interview with with Russ Melheim, ahead of her appearance in the upcoming Fan Expo in San Francisco, actress Katee Sackhoff, who plays the legendary Bo Katan in The Mandalorian and voices her in the Clone Wars and Rebels, commented on replacement rumors that her character was taking over the titular Mando of the Disney Plus series. When asked if the possible status quo shift was ever discussed on set with the likes of executive producer Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, Sackhoff stated that no, there wasn't, and how with the loads of speculation in the fandom, there's bound to be a lot of misinformation out there. So she's just saying that this is a lot of just hoopla, but this is what she said. No, I think there's always going to be a lot of speculation in the fandom. You know, I think there's one of the reasons why people love the fandom so much, and they love this universe so much, that a lot of times it allows them enough ambiguity for people to interpret things the way that they want to interpret them. And out of that, there is the ability to have some misinformation get out, or just, wishful thinking. So what she's more saying is people are just diving too far into Pedro Pascal's interview there, which I just did right before I read this, and more just kind of speculating on their own side, because that's what we do as fans. We love to speculate, and that's what kind of comes out of that, wishful thinking or misinformation. She reaffirmed, and let's go to what she says. I think in this situation, I think the story of the Mandalorians, and the story of Bo Katan needed to be told. I don't think in any way that was taking away from Din Djarin's story, nor was that ever the intention. And Pedro Pascal and I aren't in charge of who gets the lead of the show, as she laughs. This is Din Djarin's show. It will always be Din Djarin's show. Now, I do think that is true. I think that is the case. But also, Season 3 of The Mandalorian does sort of take a turn towards the Bo Katan character. But also, to her own point there, the story of the Mandalorians and Bo Katan taking back Mandalore needed to be told. It needed to be told to not only just sort of continue the story, I guess we'll say, of the Clone Wars and Rebels that the Mandalorians had on their home world, but it's also to keep the story moving, and also allow Din Djarin to be more in touch with the Mandalorian background and teach Grogu that as well. So what does the future look like for the Mandalorian? On the one hand, given the title of The Mandalorian, it wouldn't be entirely out of the bounds to switch focus to another Mando from time to time. On the other hand, with where Season 3 left off with Din Djarin and Grogu, the duo's next adventures could easily be separate from what's going on Mandalore with Bo Katan. Needless to say, it won't be organic to refocus on Pedro Pascal's hero. It won't be organic? Hopefully, fans will learn more about this when The Mandalorian Season 4 will go into production sooner rather than later. After all, Jon Favreau did admit that he has a lot of those scripts already done for a while now. No matter what happens in Bo-Katan's future, it's hard to imagine she won't be involved in Dave Filoni's big Mandoverse crossover movie. Then she just goes on to that. I think that's definitely what's going on. I think the Mandalorians have been set up on Mandalore to sort of rebuild, and I think they'll be more important when it comes to Dave Filoni's movie. I think that's just what's going down, you know? I think we're gonna leave the other story about Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple for Thursday. Actually, no stream Thursday. No stream Thursday because of Thanksgiving. So I guess Saturday. I guess we'll be leaving that for Saturday stream. Watch out for a video tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time about this Dave Filoni news. I go deep into it in this video. I recorded it before this live stream. I'm going to edit it tonight and get it out for you guys tomorrow. Watch out for that tomorrow. Of course, maybe a video on Friday, but no stream on Thursday. Enjoy your guys' Thanksgiving. I cannot thank you guys enough. You are the first and foremost the people I'm thanking because you guys watch the shit. You guys watch me talk about Star Wars for hours on end. I don't know why, but you do. And it's amazing, and I can't thank you guys enough. So thank your families, thank your friends. Be thankful this Thanksgiving, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of food for me. If you're not even from America, cook a turkey. Eat a lot of food. Do what you guys do. Ian says I have no life, lol. Well, you do now, and it's here with me. So eat a lot of food for me, and I'll eat a lot of food for you guys. Before we leave, put into the chat, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food? Dessert or meal. I argue that stuffing is the greatest food of all time. So there you go. My favorite dessert is probably pumpkin pie. Or pumpkin cookies. Anthony says, Happy Thanksgiving, Mike. Happy Thanksgiving right back to you, Anthony. Tony says, an hour and a half, time goes by when you're having fun. It really does. It really does. I always look over at the clock and I'm like, wow, it's already been an hour and a half. Hour and 40 minutes almost. I am British, and I totally agree about stuffing. But we have it at Christmas. Ian, question. So you guys just don't celebrate Thanksgiving at all? Like in the slightest? Will you do anything this Thursday, or is it just like nothing? Because I don't know. I only live in America. Is it just like you guys just sit there and you're like, oh, the Americans are having Thanksgiving today? Is that just kind of what it's like? Not at all. Thursday is just an ordinary day. Oh, well, there you go. That's pretty cool. All right, let me end this poll. Let's see if the math is mathing today. Let's see if the math is mathing. 92%, it's not mathing, but 92% of you guys are happy with Dave's promotion. I'm extremely happy. This was amazing. And yes, Tony, I cannot get enough stuffing either. This was a fantastic stream. I'm so excited. I'm very thrilled that we got good news today and had a fun stream today. Oh, it was amazing. It was a great stream. I hope, smash a like on this video. Have you guys smashed a like? What are you waiting for? Smash a like on this video, hit subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. We go live on this channel, of course, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, so don't miss out on any of that stuff by hitting that bell so my face will show up at the recommended feed of yours. Happy Thanksgiving to all you guys. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for being here, watching me, supporting me, and all that other stuff. And may the force be with you. Always. Where's that freaking button? Oh yeah. Keto? I agree. Keto says, my mouth is watering thinking about pumpkin pie. Mine too, and I'm going to go not eat pumpkin pie yet, but I'm going to go eat some food in general. I hope you, what a great stream, what a great show. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening, a great rest of your lives, a very, very happy Thanksgiving if you guys are celebrating, and if not, eat some food for me anyway. And good night, everybody.